So here we're going to have a look at how MPanel Production handles points drawn in a mesh. I have a series of points drawn in the mesh here. These are ordinary Rhino points. They are drawn not necessarily at mesh junctions, but they are drawn close to the mesh in 3D. We can ask MPanel to interpret those points as panel detail or as panel marks. And first we'll look at panel detail. So selecting the mesh and the points, running the panel tool and deleting the old object gives us a panel where each of those detail points has been replaced by a small cross, which is typically drawn out on the panel for reference purposes, either for attaching objects to or positioning other objects onto. Sometimes we want these crosses to be joined together into a curve, and we achieve that by, or we tell the program to try to do that by colouring all of the points with a simple primary colour. So now if I go ahead and again using the points as panel detail, panel, delete the old, we find that the points have been joined together into a curve like that. A quite different use of points is when we want the points to represent a mark which is going to be put into the MPanel seams when the panel is seamed. And to do that, we'd specify that the points are to be used as panel marks. I'll go ahead and just use these two marks here. Typically with panel marks we're only using panels which are close to, or points which are close to the edge of the seam. We'll panel that, delete the old, and you'll find that there are marks drawn on here, but to show that these are mark points rather than detail points, they're coloured orange. Those orange points, I'm just going to make a copy of this panel segment just here. Those orange points during paneling, that is rather during seaming, these points are transferred into small marks in the seams. You can see these marks which are drawn in just completely in the seams, and when I delete the old panel, here's the seam and here are the marks which are referencing the panel marks that were put in. And so this allows you to identify particular parts in the panel without leaving a mark, a plotted mark, actually in the panel itself. I'll take another copy of this panel and just show that those marks just here are going to occur in addition to any specified marks in the panel edge. So on this bottom panel edge, let me specify that there are going to be perhaps just two marks, which will give us a mark at each end of the seams. So we'll go ahead now and add the seam allowance to that, and you can see that we have the two marks that we specified in the seams table, plus the additional marks that were specified from the mark notes in the panel itself. There are some situations where you want to have some of the marks read as detail, panel detail, and some of them as panel marks. And the way we do that is we specify that we're going to read the points as panel detail, that we override on some of the points by specifying the points themselves to either be a colour orange, and the colour orange there is selected in Rhino as the named colour orange just here, or alternatively the points can be left uncoloured but placed on a layer called mark. With that arrangement, when we do our panelling, we end up with most of the panels, most of the marks as detail on the panel, and the 2 points that we had identified in orange have been taken through as panel marks. So this concludes the use of points in the mesh in MPanel Production, and for further information please refer to the help file.